Hello everybody, welcome back to ACVC Discussion and Development. Of course, I'm your host, DCWF. I don't know if any of you have seen any of my other channels. ACVC Customized, DCWF Point of View, ACVC Tunes. Those are my channels. Granted, I'll admit, I'm not one of the top YouTubers right now. Okay, well, either way, let's get past the formalities. Okay, so any of you who've watched any of my videos here on this channel, you know that I talk about design and building building different things. I mean, that is a good portion of this channel, but it's not the only thing in this channel. I mean, it is called discussion and development. So when you look up the word development in the dictionary, you find out it's not just like developing a design for something. It can turn and mean multiple things dealing with development. So it can even turn around and mean personal development. If I wanted to do like something like exercise or something videos, but that's just not really my style, and it's not my style to do those kind of videos. So today I decided that I wanted to do a video dealing a little bit with character and a little bit dealing with a character's design. And I'm sure that if you're watching this, you'll see that I'm on YouTube right now. And today's video, we're going to actually do this one right here. This one right here. Let me show you with my mouse. We're going to do this one right here from Danco. Okay, from the channel Danco. So, can Darth Vader take down the Bat family? Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. This is not going to be exactly a reaction video, because as you can tell, my face is not on here, so it's not going to be exactly a reaction video. Also, I'm not here to argue with the point here. It's not an argument. This is not an argument. I have actually watched this video already, and for the standpoint of how Danco right here has described it. And yes, I know that's his channel's name. That's not his name, and what he goes by on the channel. I do watch his channel sometimes, but I actually don't catch the name as much as I should. Too interested in listening to the different battles. But I actually am not in really a full disagreement with him. I think that with the way he described it and the way he's described it in this video, he's fairly accurate. I don't know that I'm going to I don't want to give it up too much. It's, fairly new video, 2 days ago, at the time of me filming this, of mine. This was put out 2 days ago. So, like I said, this isn't about an argument or anything like that. I'm not doing argument. Not really taking from what he's already said. I think the way he's got his done, pretty accurate. I'd say that it would work about the way he is. So I'm not going to actually show his full video here. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to let it go for a few seconds, because this is his, this video right here, the Can Darth Vader Take Down the Bat Family, is 100% Danco's video. And he did it. And I'm not taking away from that. He did that. I have nothing to do with that video. What I'm doing is I'm going to show a slightly different view of how the fight would actually go from a standpoint of a character's development and design. Okay? So I'm going to try and give some different scenarios. I'm going to give a few different scenarios of what my plans are. So let's do a little bit of a listen on his. I'm not going to do much because, like I said, This was his video, and this is not what I'm... His video is his video. Y'all are going to watch, and if y'all want to watch it, you'll be able to find it. Here's the name of it. Can Darth Vader take down the Bat family? I might even try and be able to put down a link or something in there, for all I know. And I might try to, so that y'all can go straight to it. Because, like I said, I'm not taking away from him. He did a good job, and I'm not in a disagreement. How he has it is, I think it's pretty accurate. And I like seeing some of the people's opinions down there in the bottom. So this is actually kind of one of these videos where I'm going to put my opinion about it. But I'm going to do it by giving some different scenario types and some things that I think would actually affect the fight that he doesn't mention. So, and personally, I don't think he really has to. I like the styles that he goes with. So this is going to be kind of my stylized version of it. So we'll see how everybody likes it. Who knows? Maybe I'll get back around to him and he'll watch it. If you do, like I said, I enjoyed your video, so I'm not dissing you on that one. I actually enjoyed it, so let's get started, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of this video. I know you're listening to me talk, but I mean, it's technically exactly what this is. It's kind of a talking channel. I do more talking than I do pictures.
Darth
designs.
Vader is the Lord of the Sith, one of the most powerful Force users in existence, and an existential
I don't need it in full screen.
threat to the entire galaxy at large. So, it seems like the kind of threat that would require the whole Bat family to take him down. Batman and all of his wards stumble across Darth Vader as they're out on patrol. Can they take him down? Or is Darth Vader going to be the last one standing? Let's find out.
Okay, so as you can hear, so this was his scenario right here. You know, the Bat family's out on patrol. So first and foremost, I'm not going to do the whole Bat family. I'm not going to describe the entire Bat family. I'm not even really going to go much. I'm going to go a little bit further on this video probably, but I'm not going to, because I want y'all to watch it. If, you know, people who want to see this specific style of it, I want y'all to go watch this. This is not my video, okay? The video you're on right this minute, if you're listening to me, this is my video. So, this was his scenario. And I think I'm going to kind of go with that. I might turn around and bring up, you know, what he talks about how, you know, their abilities, Darth Vader and so on and so forth, but actually, I'm not going to do the whole Bat family. And the reason being is because, yes, I know about the characters. I know a little bit about the characters. I'm not going to actually sit here and say that I know as much about the characters as he might. He might know more about the characters than I do. And that's a very good possibility. I liked the TV shows and the animated movies and films. And a lot of my knowledge of the characters comes from that. And I know some stuff from the comics, and some of it's because I've heard it actually from him and from other channels, and I've stumbled across certain things, and I've even read one or two comics, but mostly my thing is the films and the animations. So, what I'm going to start with is this. So his scenario is that they just came in. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to talk about his scenario more than that. That was his scenario, and so he just gives a good description of, you know, their abilities, what they can do, and what they can handle. If you want to see one where it describes Batman a little bit better, you'll have to go to a different one, because he describes Batman very quickly in this video so that he can describe all the other members of the Bat family. Red Robin, Batgirl, Spoiler, all of them. So, here we go. So, Batman, I'm going to just do it Batman. Batman against Darth Vader. So, which one would win? Who would win that fight? Well, you know, everybody's going to have their opinion on it. So, I'm not going to turn around per se say that it's a guarantee that Batman is going to win. And it's not, but it's also, I don't believe it's a guarantee that Darth Vader is going to win. I'm going to go ahead and give you some scenarios that will actually, I believe, really affect the fight. So he described, like I said, I'm not going to go through because it would take too long to let him talk through the different abilities from Darth Vader and Batman. So I'm going to actually just kind of shorten it down to a highlight. So Batman's basically got a lot of different gadgets, a lot of weaponry that he has made over the years. And Darth Vader, I'm going to go back and forth between them. Darth Vader, he has the lightsaber. His suit is really durable. It can be damaged, but it takes an awful lot to do that. He's gotten shot and all kinds of stuff. That's what he was talking about, dealing with all the animations and all that. Batman, his suit is fairly durable as well. Not probably quite as well. So he's going by. So I know that Danco here, he goes by all the different. Here, you know what? Let me see if his name just happens to be right down here, because I'm sure everybody turning around wants me to. We're just gonna have to go with Danco because I'm sure that actually has a part of what his name is, and it might have even said it, but I just didn't hear it good enough. So either way, we'll just never mind about that part. Okay. So either way, this is the thing. So he's going by their abilities. So Darth Vader has, he's connected to the dark side of the Force. He has the lightsaber. He can, and dark side of the Force, he's able to choke people and so on and so forth. I mean, if any of you've watched Star Wars, you'll know a general idea of what Darth Vader can do. A lot of the newer stuff shows him have way more stuff than what he used to. I mean, when he originally came out in the movies, the original 3 movies, they showed him at a much later time in his life when he had gotten older, so it wasn't like he was all that weak, but he had turned around and slowed a little with age. In some ways. I mean, age still affects them. Still affected the people on Star Wars. Even the Jedis. They could live for a very, very long time, but it affected them nonetheless. I mean, it affected Yoda, and I mean, I don't know if everybody should know this. I would figure, but maybe they don't. But, spoiler, Yoda did actually die, after his physical body died, and he joined the Force at when he died. So, it's just, the age does catch up to him. So let's get started with my scenarios here, because I'm going to start rambling on if I don't. Okay, so I'm not going to discount any of their physical capabilities. 100% what their physical powers and abilities are, that is going to stay. That does not change. Here's the few minor things that I'm going to go with. Okay, so the first thing that I want to add in to kind of change up the scenario for this fight is this. Which reality are we in? Okay, so this is actually what I want to turn around and add as one of my big things first. Which reality? So, first off, if we're talking Darth Vader, he's in the Star Wars reality. He's in the Star Wars universe. And let's talk about it as a story point, not as a who owns the rights to the companies. Who owns it? It's not about who owns it. It's all about the actual storyline. It's all about the universe that's been written, designed, created by the writer who originally did it. And I mean, you can't just change that. It's something that is a standpoint when they made it. It's a solid point. And so let's start with that. Which reality are we in? Okay? I think that first and foremost is going to take a very big... That's going to turn around and cause a very large decision on who might win the fight, actually. I think that's what's going to actually make the decision. In my opinion, I think that's going to really cause the decision to be swayed one way or the other. So, here's my thinking. I think that if we were in Star Wars' reality, I think on a straight up fight, if Batman suddenly appeared directly on the ship where Darth Vader was. Him and the Bat family, I mean, we can even put the Bat family into it. I think if they actually appeared on the ship where Darth Vader was, I think no time to get his bearing, no time to get their bearings or anything like that. If it was just a automatic, they ended up portaled to Star Wars' reality, onto one of the space station or wherever Darth Vader was, I think Darth Vader is going to win, hands down. I don't think there's going to be much of a fight if they don't have a chance to get their bearings. I think, and that's what I think, but I think also the same principle. I think that if Darth Vader got portaled down to DC's universe, I think that he would actually turn around and he wouldn't probably... I think he would actually have a better chance of losing in the DC universe. I'm not going to guarantee he would lose, but I think he'd have a very good chance of losing. But it's still on the grounds of, right the second, I'm happenstance meetings. So one or the other teleports over, and it's just right first and foremost. There's no getting bearings. There's nothing to really get to know the characters. It's just automatically focused on what they can do, their skills alone, and they have no chance to get their bearings, no chance to get a feel of what's going on, so they just automatically begin the fight. I think it'll depend upon reality, 100%. So I feel like that would be a good fight, but I also feel like we need to add some more stuff to that. I think we need to turn and make this a 100% an actual fair fight between the two of them to give a real good chance to see who will win, who will lose. Now, I know if anybody's watching, they're seeing that I've just got the screen up here still. Mostly this is talking. If I push play, then, you're going to hear the guy off of Danco, and he's going to be talking, and then you won't be able to hear me as well either, and you won't hear him well, and you won't hear me well, and then it'll just mess up the video. So, let's go with it like this. Okay, so first off, I think it's going to depend upon the universe, and I'm going to explain why. I think it's going to depend upon realities. But the first part I'm going to do is this. We're going to discuss the realities, and we're going to discuss the... Not only we're going to discuss realities, but we're going to give them some time. We're not going to give the prep time of like weeks or months or years per se, but we're going to give them some prep time. Okay? We're not going to turn around and give like tons and tons, but we're going to give enough prep time that both characters, whichever shift is made, the characters will have a chance to get their bearings, get settled, get into a position where they can have a balance, where they know what's going on, and they're not just needlessly turning around throwing batarangs or, swords and everything else. Give me 1 second, everybody. So, okay, it didn't take but a second, like I said. So let's turn around and start with this. They're going to have a little time. So here we go. First thing. So mostly I'm going to put Batman, because I really don't... The Bat family, I know enough about them, and I think that... But each one is different. Each one's specially designed, so it will affect. And having all of them, yes, fighters and so on and so forth. It would definitely make a difference in if you're talking like the whole Bat family fighting Darth Vader at once. But I really do want to do more of a Batman versus Darth Vader. And I'm sorry if people feel like I'm ranting, or that I'm going on and on in circles. I talk like this sometimes. So, give me 1 more second, folks. Okay. Like I said, it took me a second and I paused the video and just started back again. Okay, so here we go. As I was saying, they're going to have their bearings. We're going to try and do this. So let's start with the battle going first in the reality of the Star Wars reality. So let's have Batman. I'm just going to stick with Batman. I'm not going to do the whole Bat family. I feel like that's too much. So we're going to have Batman. He's going to be popped into the Star Wars reality. Okay, so let's first go with Batman's character then. Let's go with his style. He's an expert martial artist. In the DC universe, he only has... There's like 5 guys. This is what the guys turned around and said. He's got like 5 guys. I don't know. Maybe I can let him play that part with just the part about Batman. Let's
Starting out, let's take a little closer look at Darth Vader.
Yeah, well, he's starting with
Darth Vader.
And
the first thing that we got to recognize is that if we truly wanted to use Vader in his prime, then we would use this version of Vader. Anakin Skywalker was the most powerful Jedi in over a millennium.
Here we go. Takes 7 minutes to get to Batman. That's okay, though.
I gotta define what we mean by the Bat family, because it's a pretty big group. So we're factoring in Batman, Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, Robin, spoiler, Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, and Batwoman. All 9 of them. There's Batman, who's one of the best martial artists on the planet and has trained under some of the greatest fighters in the world. He's an expert in every single fighting style known to man, and a lot of other alien fighting styles too, and so can quickly and effortlessly switch between fighting styles on the fly in order to perfectly counter and take down an opponent. Dick Grayson is...
Okay, so there you go. That's what I wanted. Okay, that's what I wanted right there. So, that way you have a good understanding, and, you know, because he says it as clear as you can get it. Batman is an exceptional fighter. One of the best in the DC universe. And he says later on that, you know, there's only like 5 people in the whole DC universe who are better than him. So, first and foremost, if Batman has a little bit of time to get in there. So everybody talks, you know, I know that they make big jokes about the prepping and all. But I'm actually not going to go with the idea of it being just about the prep. One of Batman's things is he's a tactician. An extreme tactician. I mean, when he gets into a fight, it's not like he doesn't get thrown together sometimes in fights. I mean, if you really watch some of the TV shows and stuff of that nature, you know, when they introduce a new character, you know, he has his experiences from prior characters that he's had to fight. But yeah, he doesn't just automatically haul off and get there into the... He sometimes gets beat, first and foremost. There's been many a times that a new character comes in, Batman adapts, and that's what he has to do. He has to adapt. Now, we all do know that if he went up against Darth Vader wouldn't mind killing him. Okay. He wouldn't mind killing Batman, so... But most of the characters and villains the Batman's went up against are about that way. They wouldn't care. So it comes down to Batman's toughness and everything, whether or not he would, you know, if he could survive it. So, like I said, we're in Star Wars reality. That's the first thing. Batman gets teleported there. He's one of the best martial artists in the whole DC universe. Okay? So, he's transferred into Star Wars' reality, though. And I know I've said that multiple times. I'm sorry. So, first off, if he's getting his bearings, he's going to turn around and want to find out what's going on. He's going to want to know why he got transported there in the first place. So, I'm just going to try and say maybe it was a accidental portal void or whatever. So, it kind of is just like some kind of an accident. Because you could go with a whole bunch of different scenarios there. You know, one of the remaining live Jedis brought him or whatever, you know, through a portal. You could go with any number of scenarios there. Any number of scenarios, and each one will make the storyline a little different and would make the fight different. But first and foremost, Batman is going to get his bearings. He's going to want to find out what's going on. So, honestly, first thing he's going to do is he's going to ditch the Batman costume. Right off the bat. If he's there to get bearings. Now, if he got teleported on one of the ships and stuff, he may not. But, then on the other hand, he might. First and foremost, he is going to ditch the costume because he's going to want to, when he gets thrown into a new situation, he wants information. If it's not a direct fight confrontation thing right off the bat, the first thing he wants is information. Now, if he got thrown on a ship where Darth Vader was, yeah, the fight would probably start pretty quick. So I'm really not going to go with it. He ended up on the exact ship with Darth Vader. That would give this fight the same principle. Darth Vader would win real quick. Because Darth Vader, it would take away the, Batman having the ability to get his footing where he needs it to be balanced out. So he's been transported to one of the planets, and he's going to meet Darth Vader, and he'll do it within, probably a couple days. But first, he is going to, gather information. So, he's going to find out about Darth Vader, and he's going to find out about all these different places. But it's not just that he's going to find out about all that. During this time, and he knows that he's going to, you're going to put it down that he knows he's going to be fighting Darth Vader. He's not going to get a choice. He knows this part right here. We're going to go with it like a battle world scenario. So he knows he's got to fight Darth Vader. He also knows, but he's only got like a day to maybe get his bearings. A day, maybe a little over a day to get his bearings. Well, first off, we're going to go with this from Batman. In the DC universe, Batman has an ability to adapt. He's very good at adapting. He's good at turning, like he said, he's really good at knowing fighting styles. If you watch the video, he'll turn and tell you Batman's good at reading people's body language, be able to tell what their fighting style is going to be, what they do, and he can switch between fighting styles to defeat them as needed. So first off, Batman's ability to do that. He's been trained for that. He's very strong. He's very agile. He does not have the same hindrances that Darth Vader will have being in that suit. But Batman has one interesting ability that I think will actually translate here into the Star Wars universe, combined with his training. Batman is one of the few characters who can actually wield the Green Lantern power ring without training. Batman has the ability to use it. Maybe not to the same exact extent, but he does have the power and the ability to use it. And being how much training Batman has went through all the years and all the storylines and how the version is, so we're giving, this is the ultimate version story, this is the ultimate version of Batman. So, he's gotten all the training. I'm not talking about his bat suits. He's got one bat suit. He's got the bat suit he came in. So he doesn't have access to all of his fancy bat suits, his Batmobile, the Batwing. He doesn't have any of that. Okay, he doesn't have that stuff. He has what came on his person. Because when you start adding in the gear, all the gear stuff that he has access to on his universe, well, that's fine and dandy, but that's not going to describe his character. That's not going to give you an actual idea of what his character is and what his character can handle and do. So first off, Batman adapts. He's good at it. He's really good at it. So he's a tactician. He's going to want to learn everything he can about the situation, what's going on. He's going to know, and he's got like maybe 2 days. First off, if he can handle the Green Lantern ring, being in the Star Wars universe, the Force is in existence in the Star Wars universe and everything. They describe it. It goes around everything. And this is where Batman's training comes in. All the different forms of martial arts, he is trained even for to be mentally prepared to go up against people who are mind readers and all these different things from the comics. It's not that they can't do stuff. It's not like they can't hurt him a little bit, but he actually has some mental capacity here. And the Force does have some to do with mental. I mean, some. It has to do with it. So if it deals a little bit with like willpower and a little, if it has anything to do with like willpower and the excessive amount of training and understanding how it works, Batman is actually going to be able to access the good side of the Force. He is. And honestly, the Force is, you have the dark side of the Force and you have the light side of the Force, but both sides have equal abilities. They really have equal abilities. So first off, Batman is going to, if he's got a day or two, he may not become fluent in using the Force, but he is actually going to get where he can use it. That's the first thing. If he's got enough time to get his bearings, he's going to be able to he's actually going to be able to adapt and learn how to use it, even if it's not something that he's going to be able to perfectly do. He'll still be able to use it. He'll be strong within the Force because he is trained so much in his reality. So his training and all will turn around and do something when he goes to the reality of Star Wars. So that's first and foremost. He's going to turn and get a little bit of it. He's not going to be like Luke. He's not going to be Luke Skywalker or Yoda. He's not going to be any of them. He'd have to have multiple days. He'd probably have to have a couple months before he would actually get to the point of actually being really, really strong. But he's going to be strong enough that he'll be able to do some stuff with it, especially if he knows about it at all. And if for some reason he did have a Jedi there that would turn and show him, he's going to learn. Batman has no problem with learning what he needs, and he's a fast learner. He learns as quick as he can what needs to be known. So if there's a fighting style or something, there's somebody there who's got a specific fighting style from the Jedis, then, Batman might go to him and might actually turn around and get trained by him. So that can definitely make a difference. But now the next thing, Batman is pretty much a genius, and he's really good with technology and all. And only different versions of the character some versions they lower that, and some versions they really increase that amount of knowledge. So next thing, Batman is going to definitely turn around and be looking at the technology in the area. Everybody, when you watch these videos, I do like it. He's going with a standpoint that Batman and the Bat family and all are going to be it's going to be a straight up fight, and so they only have access to what they have access to. And so, like I said, I agree with his scenario, what's going to happen, mostly. So, but I'm going with this. So Batman in an actual fight, if he gets there and he has just enough time, but I mean, even if he only had a couple hours, Batman is he may not use blasters, he may not want to use the blasters or firearms, but there are a whole slew of other weapons in Star Wars, and metals and all for shielding and all kinds of stuff. Batman is definitely not going to just sit around and wait and do nothing. He is going to turn around and find out what he needs to know, and he's going to turn around and use what's there around him, because that's the kind of character he is. He'll use what he already brought with him, but he's going to also use stuff that's around him, because he's not going to turn around and not use everything to his full advantage. He's going to use everything around him to his advantage. He's going to learn how it all works, and he'll do that. So that's what we're going to say for Batman. So we're just going to stick with that. So he's going to turn and he's going to use stuff to his advantage. He's going to turn and learn everything he can. And just because he'll have a day or 2 days does not make it be like the longest amount of prep time. He still only has so long. So, will Batman win that fight? I think that it would turn around and give him a chance. I don't know Batman would win, but I don't know that he would lose either. And then if you add the whole Batman family in, the whole Bat family, I think that they'd probably, if they all did that, they'd all stand a really good chance of beating Darth Vader on a fight, especially if it's all of them against him. But it's not a guarantee. So I'm going to say that Batman may win, but it's not a guarantee that he would. It's not a guarantee he would lose, but it's not a guarantee he'd win. It depends on exactly how many days he had to prep for that. And I mean, it could take months. And in comics, when you watch TV and comics and all, they show it as being real fast, but it's not. It's time. It's months of time, and days and weeks and months worth of time for him to prep and get things ready. It's not an automatic thing. If he gets into a fight with somebody, sometimes he's already been working on stuff that is going to help him later on, and he just figures out how to put it for the use that he needs then. So in this case, Batman might would win as long as he had time to catch his bearings. If he didn't, then yeah, he'd lose automatically. It wouldn't be, if it was just smack right in, zip, he's there right in front of Darth Vader or right on the ship, then yeah, Darth Vader will probably find him. Because Batman, when he goes, if he was in the Star Wars universe, would automatically be like put into this force. I mean, it would be that he would be really connected to it. All his training and everything, it would just be something that would be noticeable. Batman's extreme training and how he is and everything that he's been able to do in the comics from DC, he would be connected to the Force. Whether or not he had the ability to use it or not, he would be connected to it. And he would have a very strong connection, in my opinion. And so Darth Vader would definitely notice him very quickly. He'd probably notice him a couple planets away. So that's why I would say, Batman might get a couple days. He might get 7 days, depending on how long it takes to travel from point A to point B. So we're going to say that Batman's going to have I think Batman's going to have a pretty strong connection to the Force, strong enough that Jedis and all the Jedis from the good and the bad would see him and know that he's in existence all of a sudden. And I think if any of the Bat family were there, I think not all of them, but I think most of them would with their training, especially Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne. I think that both of them especially would end up in the Force, because they pretty much grew up with Batman, and when Damian Wayne didn't grow up with Bruce, he grew up with Ra's and all them. So the only thing is that Damian Wayne would be, he'd probably battle with it. He'd probably be closer to the dark side of the Force than he would go on the dark side of the Force if not careful. But it's decisions that decided that, whether or not they gave in to their anger or not. So their anger and their hatred. So I think Batman might have a chance against Darth Vader. I don't know that he would guarantee win. I think it would depend on exactly how many days. But I think Batman would have a really good chance under those circumstances. Now, I know I've been talking for a couple minutes. Probably about 30 or 40 minutes. So I'm going to try to do this really quick on this one. So we're going to switch it over. We're going to bring Darth Vader into Batman's universe. So into the DC universe. I think almost no matter what, Darth Vader is going to lose. Okay. I mean, I know everybody listening is going to probably be like, I think you just want Batman to win, guaranteed only. Well, I like Batman. And Batman's the hero, Darth Vader is the villain. So yeah, I want the hero to win, I do. But I'm actually going from a standpoint of how the character is designed. Darth Vader is definitely dangerous. He's one of the best fighters in Star Wars reality. He is. He's one of the top ones. He's actually supposed to be better than his own son Luke, as far as fighting style. So he fights with the lightsaber. He'll fight with the lightsaber, and so I mean, first and foremost, he will have an advantage. The lightsaber is going to be a little different. It's probably going to be harder to find a weapon in the DC universe that will directly be able to be used to fight against it. Not a guarantee that Batman won't find one, but you're talking about two different realities. So Batman may find one, and Batman may not actually find one that'll work directly. But I think the actual deciding factor here is this. If Darth Vader gets pulled into DC's universe, he's not going to be connected to the Force the same way. He'll still have a connection, I would bet on that. He'll still have a connection to the Force, to the dark side of the Force, but honestly, I don't think it'll be as strong. I think it'll be weakened by a lot, because it's two different universes. And I know that people love to talk about, it's multi-reality and so on and so forth, but the style of how it's written is what makes the difference. Multi-reality is fine, but if you watch DC, they have a multiverse. If you watch Marvels, they got a multiverse. but their multiverses have specific settings. Star Wars is the same way. Even if they have a multiverse, which I don't know that they do, but if they do, they've got a specific setting. So it's a specific setting in the gravity and everything and how everything's set up. So the Force is going to be in existence, I would gather, because it probably would have access to it and all, but it is not going to be the same, because you're talking that in DC Universe you've got Speed Force, you've got the all these different forces there from the Flash, and then you have the Green Lantern Corps and you have all the different Lantern Corps. I mean, it's not just the Green Lantern Corps, you got all the different Lantern Corps. So yes, Darth Vader will have access to the Force, but I'm almost positive that it would be weakened. Not done away with, but weakened. So he would have a disadvantage being in Batman's reality. In the DC universe, Darth Vader would be a complete disadvantage when he first got there. So if for some reason Batman did destroy it, and so he has a couple days to get his bearings and stuff, so. But Darth Vader is a little different. His character, he specifically looked at the fighting styles dealing with the Force, and he could use the Force for fighting. He's dependent upon that. His character was not really adaptive in the same way, in my opinion. He can adapt in some ways, but he doesn't adapt the same way. He adapts during fights. That's how he does. So you give him 2 days, what he'll probably do is he'll probably work on strengthening the Force that he can access. And that's probably what he would do. He'd probably work on strengthening his connection to it, because that would be the big deal. Because he still could get hurt. If his suit gets damaged, then he will be weakened, and he'll have to sustain his own self, and he will have and being in DC Universe, he'd have no part of it left over to be able to help him in his fighting. He would have to go straight on what his physical body could then do while he kept himself alive. So I'm going to say that Darth Vader, if he goes to the DC Universe, is almost a guarantee lose. He might win if he has enough time to really get a good connection with the dark side of the Force, but I think that he would lose because the different forces in all, he would have to get connected up to like the negative Speed Force and so on and so forth. It would then become that. I mean, if he got in connection with those things, but it would always affect him. It would change his skills and abilities. So there's a possibility that being that he is automatically connected to the Force and the way the Force works in DC, he would have a chance to connect up with one of the other ones. And if so, then yes, he would win. If it was possible for him to connect up to any of the different forces in the DC Universe, then yeah, Batman would have a hard time winning, but then on the other hand, Batman would have more knowledge of them too, because they've been in existence and he's had to deal with the stuff and he's heard about it already. So he has some stuff that would go up against that. But it would always be a little different because Darth Vader wouldn't use it the same way. So I don't know what everybody else thinks or how they feel about this, but I think this is a fairly good representation of it. I think that it's in the comments that I looked at that people, they talk about based upon just being a fan. And I'm a fan of different characters. I am. And definitely, hey, I want Batman to win hands down. I do. But I'm trying to go with an actual baseline of what would happen if they were thrown into different realities. And if they were thrown into a whole separate reality away from the Star Wars and the DC universe, well, that would be the point in time when they would be the most equal with one another. If they were thrown into both of them out of their comfort zones, that would actually put them in the most balanced fight that you'll ever see. Because Darth Vader will not have access to the Force. He'll only have a little bit of access to the dark side of the Force. He wouldn't be able to have the full concentration of it. And Batman wouldn't be right there among all the allies who would come to his assistance if he needed them, or all the extra gadgets that he just has access to that he has strewn around Gotham and even the planet. So that would be the most balanced out fight between the two of them. if you did that. If you put them in a whole different reality separate from the DC and from the Star Wars universe. Because it would equal them out the most. So sort of like a Battle World realm. Something where their worlds didn't come with them. So they had to come with what they had. I think that fight would be a very close one. No prep. See, if you went with that one, no prep time. They basically got thrown into the fight, but it was in that. I think they would really be a close fight. Darth Vader could win it. Batman could win it. I think that one right there, it will depend on exactly how quick Batman and Darth Vader can adjust to their location and how fast and how they can adjust to each other's styles of fighting. So I think I would say Batman might win that one if Batman has a better chance to, because Batman, I think he'll adjust quicker. So I would say Batman might win that one. But I don't know. These are theoretical ideas of how it would work based upon how the characters are designed and some story. From how I understand the characters work and how I know how they work. That I understand. And the idea of actually putting some sense about the realities of what their worlds would be. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like I said, feel free to go back and go ahead and watch this one from Danco. Like I said, this was a good one. I watched it and I enjoyed it. So if y'all enjoy watching these kind of videos, that's great. You'll enjoy watching his, and I hope you'll enjoy watching mine. I know I talk a lot, but like I said, I just wanted to give everybody a good idea of, some different scenarios. I think that I think what he did, good representation. And I wanted to do something, but I wanted to do it a little bit different. So yes, it's somewhat my opinion, but this is also about character development. I mean, it really is. It's a lot about the character's development. The character of Batman, he was designed to train. It's not like he may not be the best he will never probably get to the best, but he will fight to become as good at what he does as he can. That's the type of character he is. So the type of fighter he is. He will train to be the best that he can become. That's why you only have like 5 people in all of DC Comics that are supposed to be better than him in fighting. And there's always the possibility that he'd still win against them in a fight. Because he doesn't give up. And that's the biggest trait for Batman. He is not going to give up. And he is going to look for the weakness. He's going to look for everything. And just because his character is not designed to kill, and he doesn't plan on killing people, does not mean that he will not be able to defeat Darth Vader under the correct circumstances. So either way, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Feel free to check out Danco's video. Like I said, it was pretty interesting. And if you like talking and all, then hey, that's the style of video he has, is more of a talk video too, so it works. I don't really know how long I've been talking for. Probably about 30, 40, maybe even an hour. So who knows? I'll have to check and see how long I was talking for. But I hope y'all have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little different from the other ones I did, but I think that it kind of matches up with what this channel is for. It is for design, discussion, development. It's about the discussion and development. It's about from building physical objects and designing and how you design something, to also just talking about how something is designed, even into characters and how they are designed for movies, shows, books. This channel will cover a lot of different areas. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. I don't have a lot of fancy imagery, and I didn't do all the things from like Danco did. I didn't go and find all the little clips and stuff so I could copy them and film for the video. It's mostly just a stagnant video. So I hope y'all had a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please come back again. Subscribe if you want. You don't have to. Try to keep the comments clean. I mean, I'm not making all these videos just for children. On any of my channels, I'm not just doing it for kids. Okay? But I want it to be for anybody who wants to watch. I want it to be as clean as it can be. Way ratings are really weird, so to me, you know, I was raised up a little different, I guess, on that part. But the ratings on stuff and all, it's just a little different to me. So I just want to try to make this as family friendly as possible. So I basically want anybody to be able to come on here and look at this video. So it's not for kids, okay? It's not for kids. So try to keep the comments section clean. I don't mind if you talk on it and all, but try to keep the comments section clean. And I'm not saying anything about, you know, some of the other YouTubers, they will say a little bit. They'll use the acronyms. They'll use that to, you know, and you know, that's their decision. I personally want to try to keep mine as clean as possible. I'm not perfect, but I'd like to keep it as clean as I possibly can so anybody can watch this video. So, have yourselves a great day. This is DCWF again, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again in the next video. Have a great one.